You're watching Detroit on Deck. Here are your hosts, Dave Siseski and Josh Clark.
What's up, Clarky? Dave Siseski, Josh Clark, as always, episode 10, Detroit on Deck. Josh, the Detroit Lions are still in the playoffs, and we're in January, the end of January, approaching birthday number 36 for me. I'll put it out there. It's all good. 36 going on 25, right? So that's the way we do this. But hey, the Lions are still in the playoffs. It's amazing. It's the first time in our lifetime we've seen this, right? So coming off a big win against the Rams, that was exciting. It had a little bit of everything. Matthew Stafford played out of his mind. He had a brain injury. It was scary late. You also seen Tyler Higbee have a career-threatening injury. I'll say he should be back. It's an ACL, but you never know with injuries like that. Guy just signed a couple-year deal. It was a clean hit, though. Let's just say what it is. It was a clean hit by Kirby Joseph. You don't like to see those hits, but it was clean. And then today, yesterday we had the comments from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Now, Josh, you haven't heard these yet, right?
No.
Okay. So this is Gardner-Johnson. He says, if you give that Tampa group a good quarterback, that's a great group. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, that's a great group. I played against them for real, but they just need a quarterback. So Baker responded and said today, Russell hasn't played for us all season long, but, we hope to see Russell back, so I don't know what he's talking about there. But then said, because Russell Gage hasn't played all season long, Gardner-Johnson, good player, but he probably needs to catch up on his game film then. So just throwing a little bit, tit for tat, just a little bit of talking. I know we're going to differ on this, Clark, just because I've seen you play sports. I know we're going to differ. I don't like talking. I don't like the talking before. I don't want to put any bulletin board material up there, but you like it, don't you?
Oh, I love it. I'm all about the bulletin board material. Like you said, I've been competitive my whole life. So I love any nuance of the game, and before, after, during, the trash talk's always fun. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
Big shocker there. Okay, well, hey, Baker Mayfield playing out of his mind. He really is. If you swapped in Tom Brady for Baker Mayfield in terms of stats where they're at right now, it would be really close because although Tom's a GOAT, I'm not saying Baker's a GOAT, but I'm saying they're playing the position just like Tom was. He's really playing flawless football right now, and everything's going their way. If you watch that Eagles game, the Eagles were not winning that game, and you kind of found out really early on. It was like the life was out of that sideline. You had Dallas Goedert calling his quarterback the B word, which is the second time that's happened this season. A.J. Brown did it earlier in the year.
Right.
There's no motion on that offense. It was just like, all right, we're going to play street ball, throw it up. Without A.J. Brown, you're not winning that game. Listen, Devontae Smith played some good ball, but got to have some more players, right? Yeah. So for Philly, you knew it was kind of doomed, but even the defense for the Bucs is pretty impressive. And we know there's some names on that team. Vita Vea is one of the better defensive tackle in the game. Devin
White.
Yeah, they got a lot of good players, man. So
Carlton Davis, third. They got some players over there for sure that with Super Bowl experience. So
right, and Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is listen, man. Say what you want about Todd Bowles. The man knows how to draw up a defense, right? So I think that's going to be one of the better defenses we played in a little bit here. But speaking of Todd Bowles, Clark, what happened this week?
So I find it very funny. It's nothing to do with the game really, but a reporter goes on and asks him how he has been preparing his team to deal with the inclement weather that we were having here in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, that 15 to 20-second walk into the stadium.
Yeah.
There's a dome.
There's a dude. Like, it was funny though. Like, the lady, like, I think she was just shell shocked. Like, oh, there is, like, it was funny to see. Like, I was watching the presser kind of live, so it was like, I can't believe she's really asking this question right now. Like, as a reporter, you should know like what teams play where and inside or outside of what.
You should. And listen, I'm on both sides with this. I work in news, so I know how it works. Sometimes with bigger events, they'll send a news reporter to that to cover. Hey, because they're used to interviews, right? To the presser. However, you got to do your homework. Come on. Yeah. We played in a dome for going on 20 years, something like that. We played in a dome before we played in a dome. We played in another dome.
Right.
We've been in a dome for like, I don't know, 50 years, forever. Like, it's been forever. So you should know. But she looks silly. Now, Todd Bowles, being a great guy that he is, said he basically literally says, no, it won't be a big deal. Like you realize we play in a dome, right? So he's like, I can't. No, it won't be a big deal for the 20 seconds that it takes for us to walk in there. So she looked a little silly, but hey, we only got so much time, so we'll move on. But on that Lions game, we always look at the quarterbacks. Last week, it was Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, and there was a storyline there. Really, there's another storyline here because these are two quarterbacks that people gave up on, right? Two guys that people gave up on. And Baker, a number one pick in the NFL, like Jared Goff, two number one picks overall. So then you look at them and you're like, okay, they've obviously been at the peak. Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield was killing it a few years ago with Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. And then they've been at the bottom. The year after that, both of them struggled. Baker was kind of just filling in where he could. The Rams, coincidentally picked him up, gave him a shot. Right? Panthers, right? And then he came, you forget about the Panthers, right? But then he came to this situation that he's at right now with the Bucs, and Josh, he's fit in perfectly, and he's back to where he was. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, he's definitely playing some probably the best ball of his career. Honestly, that includes his playoff run with the Browns a few years back.
Yeah.
I think the big thing for him is, unlike his days in Cleveland, he has some weapons there in Tampa Bay with Evans, who he's obviously getting older. Chris Godwin, then you look at the running back situation. Rashid White has been, I'm not gonna lie, he's better than I expected. Since he's been in the league, he's better than expected. And like you said, a good team always has a solid defense to fall back on, and that's something I don't think you really had in Cleveland, where they had some players, but not like a whole defense the way the Buccaneers do. So yeah, I think he's playing some of the best ball, and he's definitely putting front offices on notice for when he becomes a free agent.
Oh yeah, and then you look at. You talk about that receiving core, David Moore, Trey Palmer. They got some guys, man. Got some guys that really are under the radar, but they do not run the ball great. Okay, now Rashad White is a great receiving back. He does not rush for a lot of yards. The Lions, what do we do best? We shut down running backs. We did last week. I mean, Williams was shut down for the most part. He got hurt. Detroit, that's one thing about Detroit I'm going to give them props for, Josh. Who's been more physical in the playoffs than Detroit? Detroit has looked so physical. They've been all over the field. I love it when I got our safeties, our secondary, selling out and tackling the way they are. Okay, you want to say, oh, well, they're dirty, they're going low. Where are they supposed to go? Where are you supposed to go? You go high and you get flagged. They did exactly what they needed to. So that talk is garbage.
That's one thing too, though. Like that Kirby Joseph hit. Like people have been calling that a dirty hit. Like, I'm sorry, I've played football, and at a young age, you were literally taught to tackle just like that. Put your head down.
Textbook.
Drive with your feet and wrap around the legs. Like
Exactly.
it's literally where he hit him. Like it turned out to be a freak accident, freak injury, whatever. It's part of a physical game though. It doesn't make it a dirty hit.
No, no. It was a textbook tackle, and the same thing happened a few weeks before prior to TJ Hawkinson. And that's
Yeah.
why people are like, oh, they want to start the narrative of our safeties are dirty. No, they're not. They
Right. And
know
it
how
just
they're
happened
playing good football.
and it just happened to be another tight end too. So it's like, okay, are they headhunt tight end position, yada yada yada. No, they're just, freak accidents, freak injuries. They happen. It's part of a physical game. Let's move on.
Exactly.
There's no story there in my opinion.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think for Detroit on the other side, listen, it was really more of the same. It was Aiden Hutchinson, and then it was like, where's the rest of the pass
And
rush?
then nobody else, right?
Right. I mean, there was just too many times. Matthew Stafford looked so comfortable back there. He was making like no look passes,
Yeah.
hitting guys pinpoint. I will say this about the defense though. When they needed to make a stop, they made a
They
stop.
did. Yep.
So
That's all you can ask for in the playoffs because it's going to come down to like you might give up 35 points in the playoffs, but guess what? It's only going to come down to that one stop. And
right.
Can your team or defense make that one stop when need be? So, and in this game they did.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they played tremendous. Looking on the other side of the NFC, the Packers, obviously, they won. They beat the Cowboys. It was just announced today. Mike McCarthy will return.
Oh God.
I
Well,
mean,
there's another year of winning the division and not making it out of the wild
see,
card
that's the
round.
thing. It's tough for them though because he's won 36 games in the last 3 years, but he doesn't win that big game. But Dallas hasn't won a big game in quite a while. It's been a long time. So they always seem to stumble. They always think they have the quarterback, but it's neither here nor there. My point is they're out. Green Bay is going to be playing San Francisco. I thought in order for Detroit to have a good shot, I wanted to play Dallas. I think there's no chance in God's green earth that the Niners lose to the Packers. I just don't think there's a chance. Your thoughts?
And no, I 100% agree. I mean, if Jordan Love plays the way that he did, they can definitely keep it competitive.
Right.
But yeah, overall, to me, the Niners, I don't care. Like they lost to the Ravens, sure, another Super Bowl contender. I still personally think the Niners are the best team in the whole NFL. And
I
that goes
agree.
back, to just because their defense, man, their defense is filthy. They have the best player in football, in my opinion, in Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy is finally coming into his own in year 2 or year 3, whatever he is now.
Yeah.
Debo's actually, healthy for a full year. Kittle was fully healthy this year. So I mean, they have pieces everywhere, and they're just a nightmare to match up with.
Now you look on the AFC side. I think on that side, I think it's gonna either be the Chiefs or the Bills. And I think right now with the way that the Bills are playing, I think that they got a clear shot this year. This is their chance. I know a lot of people are going to say Patrick Mahomes and those guys, but I think the Bills have a chance. I think that Josh Allen has been playing good football for the most part. He hasn't been giving up too many turnovers because he's going to do that. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, the problem I think they're going to run into, if they run into a problem, and I know you think they're going to win, but if they run into a problem, it's going to be because of the lack of receivers. They have got a clear issue there, and they have all season long.
No, I mean, I agree in a sense. I mean, Rashid Rice has came into his own, for most of the season, so they definitely have a receiver there. Now it's just can you get Travis Kelce back on track to complement what Rice has been doing? Because Kelce, if anything, has had the down year.
Oh yeah,
and that's crazy to say because he was only 16 yards shy of 1,000. So
well, and he's close to. He's got 93 receptions, so it's like
and
wow.
he missed he missed 2 games. Like he was held out week 8. He was held out week 18, and he missed the opener against the Lions. So
like. I feel I don't know how you feel, but like I am tired of them showing Taylor Swift every 5 minutes. So
I enjoyed seeing her swag. I enjoyed seeing her swag surfing.
Swags, yes, like that was embarrassing. Swag surfing. The Chiefs love that song, man. Yeah. They get hyped with that song. So I'm down with it. I like seeing the sideline like that, showing some energy. Andy Reid.
Back to the conversation though. The Bills and the Chiefs. I just think the Chiefs are their kryptonite. I do expect the Chiefs to win this game, even though it isn't good old Buffalo for once. But I mean, the elements aren't going to play a big factor. They're used to the cold. I mean, Patrick Mahomes.
Whoever wins that game, I think, comes out of the AFC.
Oh, 100%.
right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. But you have to also understand though too, the Texans, man, they're hot right now. They're just a
Of
bunch of young
course.
kids. They're
It's
just
a
a bunch
great
of young.
story.
They're just a bunch of young kids who don't know any better. So that's sometimes it's good. So,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, I do expect the Chiefs to win that game in a close game.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the Texans, and we've talked about C.J. Stroud, but really a guy that's come out of nowhere lately is Stingley. Stingley's been playing great football at LSU. I mean,
Yep.
Derek Stingley, it was like one of those guys, when they drafted him, it was like on potential. Didn't play a lot at LSU, hurt a lot, but he was named like the defensive player of the week, the last week of the NFL season. Had like 4 picks in like 3 games. Was really playing good football. He's continued to do so. That defense obviously had 2 pick sixes against Joe Flacco, which he's prone to that, and they were from behind, so it
Yeah,
was going to happen.
The real Joe Flacco stood up.
I mean, unfortunately, he did for Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
And then his coach at the end just really didn't help him at all. Said, "Hey, we appreciate Joe, but we're going to move on with Deshaun Watson." And you know what? Everybody that's going to be honest with themselves says that's what they need to do because he's a better player. Flacco was a fill-in guy. Good story. Good story. He came off the couch and filled in. None of us can do that and do what he did. But he's done. He's done, and it was a good story. We are at that halfway mark, Clark. So I do want to get back into some NFL. But first, why don't we go over to Michigan? We got some returners on the safety side as well, returning for the Wolverines. Tell us about it.
Yeah, they're basically returning. Makari Page announced yesterday that he's coming back. Will Johnson, we knew, was coming back. Rod Moore announced that he's coming back.
That's huge.
Keon Sabb, who was a reserve this last year, he's coming back. Will probably slide into that number 2 cornerback spot opposite of Will Johnson. So those are definitely some huge pieces to bring back. And then along the defensive line, I mean, they're probably still going to be the best defense in college football with this news. But, I mean, they're bringing back Josiah Stewart, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, who were 3 of the 4 starters last year on arguably the best defensive line. And then you also bringing back Derek Moore and Rayshon Benny, who I expect to be the 4th guy.
Man, I'm just saying, like, if it's a little early to say, like, repeat or whatever, but listen, we can say this. They're going to be in the conversation because
Well, yeah, and they haven't even began their homework yet on the portal. They're going to hit some runs in the
they have
portal.
to. I don't think they go into the season with Orgy as their starter at quarterback. I don't think so, personally. Maybe, but
it's between Orgy and Denegal, I think I see.
yeah, Orgy was a 3-star coming out. He did some good things, and I like that they got him on the field. Obviously, all of his packages were running, but it was nice to get him on the field, get his feet wet in the big moments, and I like that. I think that there is a real chance that Jim Harbaugh returns to Michigan, and I wouldn't have said that a couple weeks ago, but he's done some interviews. But the big thing for Michigan and Harbaugh is this: it's not money. That's not the disconnect. It is if there are NCAA violations, he wants to make sure he is not being fired. He wants protected, and I don't blame him because the violations that he got over a hamburger
are minuscule, right?
Come on, man. So
Yeah,
one of them,
they're minuscule. So I definitely agree with his stance there. Like, hey, if you want me, I'm open to returning. But like, hey, I've served my time. You got me for 6 games last year. Let's move on. Let's behind us. If you want me as your coach, then let me be on the sidelines.
Yeah.
If you don't want me as your coach, then I'll gladly jump to the NFL.
Yeah, and you got to look at this COVID year. They go 2-4. Okay, he took a pay cut. Now he won a national championship. No more pay cuts. Pay the man what he deserves. He did what he needed to do. He returned you to prominence. It's been a long time since they won a national championship. Michigan is the national champion of the country. Like that, you didn't just win the Rose Bowl. That was huge. No, you got a national championship. So I think that'll be big. Speaking of national championship, I don't know if you saw this, but with Kalen DeBoer going to Alabama, they're losing a lot of dudes. There was like, I think they said there was like 22 guys entered the portal. So it's like, yeah, Alabama's excited about that hire and everything, but like these kids are like, we don't know who that guy is. We were here for Saban.
Yeah, and they lost a stud today to the portal and Caleb Downs. They're starting safety, so yeah, that's going to be a big get for whoever gets him.
You got to think Michigan's got to be in the conversation at
Yeah,
least, right?
yeah. Michigan's probably in the conversation. Ohio State's probably in the conversation, which sucks to say. Georgia's probably in the conversation,
Right.
because he wants to continue to be on top or close to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of I'm kind of curious if, and I won't go off too much on this, but do you think they even picked up the phone and dialed up Dabo and said, "Hey, what's your interest?" Because they moved on that real quick, and I
Yeah,
know they have to do recruiting, but they moved quick.
yeah. No, I don't think they picked up the phone and called Dabo at all. Because if you had a chance at Dabo should have been your guy.
Agreed. But from what they say, a couple people said no. I don't know. It was a little shocking, but what I would I want to touch on a little bit as well, and we're not going to talk a lot about them. But hey, the Pistons won again the other day on MLK Day. They got some young guys playing. There was a quote that came out recently in a presser from head coach Williams, and he said, "Well, the organization talked to me, and they're basically forcing his hand and playing Jordan Ivey at the point. They want the ball in his hand, and they want him, Jaden Ivey. I'm sorry, Jaden Ivey, heck of a player. Kind of been on and off the court with this year with okay, we're playing him a lot. He's starting. He's coming off the bench. It was like early on he wasn't getting minutes, but they said they want Jaden Ivey playing the point with the ball in his hands. I like it because I think you saw what Cade looks like with the ball in his hands. Too many turnovers. I like Cade. Cade's awesome. He's fantastic. They made the right decision at that draft, in my opinion, over Green. But Ivy is a young guy, and I think he could be a star as well. At least get you around 15, 20 points a game. So I like that move, and I think it'll help them long term. I think you're going to have to make some roster moves. They cleared some space the other day. We were talking about the trade that they made. It kind of went under the radar, but it did clear some space, and maybe they can bring in somebody, a free agent. They're not going to get Pascal Siakam because he got traded to the Pacers today, which I want to get your opinion on playing Ivy, but also I want to get your opinion on Bruce Brown. He's just signed there, and now he just got traded. What's going on there, man?
Yeah, I mean, basically he was an expiring contract, I guess, because he did have a team option, I guess, for this next year. But I didn't see the team picking that up based on the money they gave him, so it just made sense to kind of throw him to Toronto, for Siakam, kind of for a rental type of player deal. But I mean, we did give up 3 first-round picks as well, 2 of them being in 2024 and then 1 in 2026.
That's a lot.
So.
That's a lot.
Then we also gave up Bruce Brown and Jordan Wara. So
you say we, people don't know you're a Pacers fan. Yeah, so I
am a Pacers
right.
fan.
So, yeah. But I'm a big cost, obviously a big ask from the team. But Pascal Siakam is an all-star. He's had a good year this year. I guess go all in. I wouldn't like it if I was a fan, just because you're giving up some of that future. But
see, for me personally as a fan, I don't mind giving up the 24 picks just because I think this is one of the weaker drafts in recent memory.
Yeah.
So I don't mind giving up these 2 first round picks because I mean, based on our record right now, I believe those picks are going to be in the 20s anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're getting a lottery and a surefire, stud like, Victor Wembanyama. You know what I mean?
You're just getting a rotation guy, maybe,
Right. A guy who potentially won't even make the team because, I mean, we're loaded all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, and we're young at that. So, like, do we really have room for 2 more guys who are young without experience? No.
Yeah.
So why not trade those pieces for, a perennial all-star like Pascal Siakam?
Yeah. I mean, I like it. And then your thoughts on Ivy?
Oh yeah, me and you, we talked about this basically since like game 20. That we agree. Jaden Ivey is the best with the ball in his hands. We've seen what Cade can do with the ball in his hands, but we also know what Cade is without the ball. He's a cutter. He's a slasher. He can come off screens, knock down shots. Like we've seen that.
Right.
And he did a lot of that in college, specifically slashing to the basket. So it just makes a lot more sense, honestly. And I think it's going to open up a lot more shots for like Bogdanovich and Joe Harris if he ever sees time.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to benefit. I think it's going to benefit them in the long run. Maybe not this year. Obviously, they're 32 games under 500, but in the long run, in the long run, you know what I mean? Like
I'm with you there.
I think it benefits them. It's crazy to say 32 games under 500 when you're not even halfway through the season yet.
You know what's crazy, and I won't go deep into this because we got 5 minutes here. I want to talk about Jared Goff, but the last thing I'll say is it's crazy that you say we're like 30 plus games under 500 and we're not playing Joe Harris. I just don't understand that. This guy's a proven shooter. He's a bucket walking. He's a 3-and-D guy. You need guys like that. Makes no sense to me, but
Yeah, I agree.
they have their own plans. Wanted to switch our conversation and kind of end on the Lions as we started with the Lions, but a lot of love lately for Jared Goff. He's played some good football. That first down to ice it. St. Brown, we don't say enough about him either. He's incredible. He had another great game. David Montgomery ran great.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna ask St. Brown. He's the best receiver in football.
I mean, here's the thing. You need to make a play. You need to get a first down. Yes.
There's nobody more sure-handed than Amon-Ra St. Brown. And he's only getting better every single year. This is year 3 now. Every single year he's drastically improved.
I'm going to say if I need a big play, I'm throwing it up to Justin Jefferson. But if I need a sure-handed guy and he'll get a first down, Amon-Ra is the man. But the conversation is Jared Goff. You know, he played great football. That was a low possession game too. I think Detroit got like 7 or 8 possessions. It was nothing. It was not a lot, right? Because it's playoff football and that stuff happens. And it came down to the end, and it was nail biting. It was tough, but Goff stood in there, made the plays. Detroit had the ball with, I believe, around 4 minutes, and they just drained the clock out. David Montgomery, quite a bit of carries. They kind of went away from Jahmyr Gibbs. Wasn't a big fan of that. Montgomery came through, as he has all season long, but I would have loved to see more plays drawn up for Gibbs. But the conversation right now is Jared Goff. Do we sign this guy long term? And we'll talk about it more as the weeks go on, but give me one reason why we should, Josh, and one reason why we shouldn't.
I mean, the reason why you sign him is the experience. 2 reasons why you don't. He can't throw the deep ball, and he's going to be expensive as heck.
See, that's the one that scares me. And it's actually both of those. One, the development of Jameson Williams is being hindered here because he's hitting all these these short routes, 10-yard routes. Jameson Williams is a 30-yard play waiting to happen. I mean, he's a deep guy.
He's a grand slam waiting to happen.
Right.
Like,
He could have
big play.
He could have 4 catches in a game and have over 100 yards. That's the type of guy he is. But with Jared Goff there, he's going to have 4 catches and 26 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just there's something missing there. I love Jared. I do. And what he's done here, it's been great. But I just don't know that this organization is completely sold on him long term. Short term, maybe the next 1 to 2 years, yes.
I was going to say short term, definitely they're sold on.
Oh, that short term, but 2 years. But I'm saying they're not going to 8-year deal with Jared Goff.
No, absolutely not. And you have to think his age just plays a factor there. He's 28, 29 years old.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, that's definitely playing a factor as well. But you also have to make sure that you're doing your homework on quarterbacks. And just right now, I don't think there's anybody better out there that you're going to get that can replace him and step in and keep you a proven, perennial, division, winner, like you won this year, or, come playoff time, competitive team come playoff time. I think Goff gives you that best shot for the next 1, 2, 3 years until you find somebody that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him sign. Josh, we're down to our last minute and 15 seconds here. Detroit Lions, they have to do what to get the win?
I mean, just like anything, they got to run the ball and they got to put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's that straight, right? Because
to me,
to
me, it's that simple. What a lot of people don't realize outside of like Detroit, maybe Tampa Bay, is like when they won in Tampa Bay back in week 5,
20-6. Yep,
20-6. We didn't have Jameis, or we didn't have Montgomery, we didn't have Gibbs, we didn't have.
But what did Jameson Williams do in that game?
Right, deep ball passes. Right, we didn't have we didn't have Branch in that game. Like we were missing some stud players, and we were still able to put together a great game plan and beat them with our third string running back and Craig Reynolds.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think Detroit definitely has a shot. In order to do so, they got to get more pass rush outside of Aiden. That secondary keep playing strong. Would love to see a pick from C.J. Gardner, especially with him talking a little bit of smack. Clarky, it's going to be a good game. Any last words for you?
Yeah, I don't think it's close come Sunday. I think this is a double digit point win. I think of divisional rounds. I think this is the most obvious game to pick. And I think it's the Lions by 14 plus points.
I love it. I love it. Well, it'll be fun. We'll be watching this episode. We are obviously happy to be partnering with OCTV now. This episode is airing Wednesday, but it's going to air Saturday for OCTV. If you like the content, make sure you keep tuning in. We're going to be on all platforms real soon, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're going to be on there, so we will get that out to you. But we'll be back on Saturday. We got a lot to do, some NFL picks, and hopefully we can talk some Lions going into Sunday. Clarky, it's been fun. We'll see you soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.